Welcome to the Rialto Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is a revenue acceleration series interview where we talk to seven-figure B2B professional service firm owners that are actively trying to grow their business and get to the next level. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly so you can learn from their experience. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe you must remove your revenue roadblocks to accelerate growth, and marketing shouldn't be difficult. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I am super excited to have Ann Westerheim from Akaru with me today. Ann, welcome and thanks for being here.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm excited to dig into this with you a little bit. Now you're based out of the Boston area, yes?
Yeah, suburban Boston.
Okay, awesome. Well, are you getting fall colors yet, or
Yeah, we are. It's
okay?
it's leaf peeping season. I had to explain that to somebody today from Florida, but we're getting the oranges, the yellows, the reds. It's looking
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I love it. Yeah, we're starting to get that in Colorado too. It depends on where you are in Colorado because of the elevation change. The mountains get it a little bit later than the rest
Yeah.
of us, but yeah, it's that time of year we start to get it. So beautiful time. Um, Before we jump in, talk a little bit about what you're doing at Akaru and learn from all your experiences. I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions if you're ready to jump in with both feet.
Let's go.
So, very quickly, what do you do? How long have you been doing it?
Yeah, so I've been running Ikara. We're sort of we call us a security first IT managed service provider, so providing IT support to local businesses. And I've been doing this surprise remarkably for 20 years because time has flown by. Before that, I worked as an engineer at DEC and at Intel building microprocessors and started a consulting business when my kids were young.
I love it. 20 years
Yeah.
is a long time in IT. There have been so many
Yes.
changes. Yeah, crazy. What's the most important lesson you've learned in those 20 years?
Um, I think one of the lessons I've learned along the way is I'm usually very optimistic about taking on projects because I have the engineer's mindset of everything's possible. And I've learned the hard way to not take on things that um, really don't fit into what we can do well as a team at Ikaru.
It takes a lot of us time to get to that place, right?
Yeah.
When we initially get in business, where most of us are very open to taking all kinds of business, and we realize, gosh, maybe I shouldn't have done that that project.
Uh, yeah. And I'm definitely of the mindset I can figure out anything, but sometimes yeah, maybe that's possible, but it's not good.
Yeah. Yes. So do you find yourself saying no more often now to projects that you just know are not a good fit?
We try to stay in our lane. With cybersecurity, there's always so much new stuff going on that you
Yeah.
kind of have to be moving fast all along. But there's things that are sort of peripheral to all of this that and we'll just say, I don't think we're the right team to do that particular project, or maybe there's a client we that's a little too far away from us, where we think that it's just not going to be good for our team to have to
Yeah.
travel. So I think that just trying to be upfront about it is really helpful, and sticking to the things that we do really well, and constantly improving the things that we do well so we can do them better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to say no to projects sometimes, but not a good fit. We're so much better off just saying no because we're doing the client a favor and we're doing our company, our team a favor, right? Because you take on projects that aren't a good fit, your team isn't happy either, are they?
Yeah, it just I guess it's a lesson you could just be very focused and disciplined about at the outset, or it's a lesson you're going to learn the hard way. And hopefully, if you learn it the hard way, you actually learn from it, and you move on, and
Yeah.
brighter days.
Yes. We've all been there. So, do you have any kind of mantra or motivational saying that you say to yourself, share with your team when you hit those times where you're hitting hurdles or roadblocks?
Yeah, one of the things, we have a morning huddle every day, and one thing that I say every day is carpe diem, seize the day, and I- you know, just getting us all to approach the day with energy and try to focus on the things that we can do to help people. So that's kind of my battle cry at the beginning of every day.
That's a good one. I love it. Um, Gently and relentlessly beating the drum of carpe diem. Like if they don't get it the first time, they're going to get it the 300th, right?
Yeah, and the day is what we make it to. I think that a
Yeah,
lot of times working in IT and support, stuff is coming at you all the time, and to really kind of get in the mindset of let's make this happen, and not feel like it's all coming at us all day long. I think
yeah,
that's probably true for any business.
yeah. So, and one of the things we talked about in the pre-interview, you had mentioned that you've won some business against larger competitors, which, I don't care what industry you're in, we all have larger competitors that we're battling.
Yeah.
What types of things are you doing that are helping you accomplish this?
I think that one of the ways that we position ourselves is not too big and not too small. So we bring a team of various expertise to the table. So, but we're not so big that we have, one department does this, another department that doesn't even talk to the first department does something different.
Yeah,
And we definitely don't have a very, super slick sales intro. And what you see is what you get. We're very authentic, and I think that really helps. Uh, just so folks know that they can drop by our office if they want. Um, they'll get me on the phone. It's we really want to keep in really close contact with our clients, and I think that is something that sometimes when different firms that are in our space get bigger, they lose sight of that.
yeah. It's I love this. You're bringing up multiple things here that I think are really important to hone in on. It sounds like you guys have really honed in on what makes you different compared to not just your larger competitors, but your smaller competitors as well. Um, and that attracts people to you, right? People that want to work with somebody that's not too big but not too small.
Mhm.
When you communicate that to them, they're naturally going to gravitate towards you.
Yeah,
And so it's the way you've positioned it. You're naturally attracting the people that are a good fit for you, and the ones that aren't are going to go somewhere else. But I think it's so easy for us as business owners to we're too close to the fire, right? It's hard for us to think objectively about our
yeah,
businesses. But no matter where we are, we still have advantages over any of our competitors, right? If you're smaller, larger companies are like the Titanic. I mean, they don't turn around very quickly. They're
yeah,
not agile, so you can use that as an advantage. There's all kinds of advantages that we can use. We just need to be able to step outside and find those advantages, and then, like you said, position it and talk about it throughout our marketing and our sales process. And it sounds like you've done that, and that's what's helping you.
yeah. I think, yeah, being authentic and trying to be, again, picking the things that we can do well, so we focus on those, and we don't
Yeah.
Um, we, we don't have to approach the different things. And I'm just reminded of, and I saw Robert Herjavec interviewed at a conference once talking about this issue where he's on Shark Tank, he's a major celebrity, and he's gone into deals in cybersecurity where the folks say, well, wait a second, you're a big star. Are you really going to take care of our business? And so it can work in every direction. Big believer, you got to deliver, and
Yes.
that will get traction.
Yeah. If you don't deliver, you're gonna run into some long-term issues. So super important. Now, this has won you some business. We didn't say it's shielded you from struggling to compete against competitors either. Um, wh- what are your competitors doing that's winning business sometimes that's different that you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think folks with bigger marketing budgets. There's so many ideas that we want to pursue that it's tough
Yeah.
to do it on a day-to-day basis. So the work we can do to kind of clarify our message, just kind of get it down to the core. Uh, that can be helpful to us. And there are some folks out there. There's an adage of nobody knows how good your service is or your product is until they experience how good your marketing is. So some folks are just going to
Yeah.
be more known out there. I think there's a space for everybody, though. I think there's, in IT cybersecurity right now, I think there's a lot of opportunity. It can be frustrating sometimes because you're going against different people. And, but I think just, stick to what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel with some of your larger competitors, do you think there are certain things that they're really excelling at that's difficult to keep up with as a small to medium sized competitor?
Um, in our particular space, some of the very large players in the space don't want to work with smaller businesses. And that kind of
Mm.
varies with, how the economy is doing. And
Yeah.
and people have very different definitions of what small business is. So
Right.
from our
Right.
perspective, maybe 20 people in a business. Yeah, we're working with folks around our size, 20, um, probably up, 100, 200 in that range would be who we work with. And some of the larger folks want to they want to move up market where maybe the cost of sales is more efficient, account management is more efficient. So that sort of leaves this whole area wide open. And when I started this business, I'm a major technology enthusiast, and big part of what I wanted to do was help small businesses leverage technology and kind of decrease that digital divide. And I find that after all this time, there's still a giant opportunity to do that because a traditional sales force isn't really set up to work with 20-person prospects out
Yeah.
there. So I think it means that there's place for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and one of the things you mentioned too is larger competitors typically tend to have larger budgets
Yeah.
from a marketing and sales standpoint. Um, Now, what I will tell you is that doesn't necessarily. I think it's important to remember a few things. One, just because they have a larger budget doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually spending it wisely, because in
Yeah,
my experience,
absolutely. Yeah.
they're not always spending it very wisely or where it should be. Larger competitors can make the same mistakes that anybody else can.
Yeah.
Um, but the other thing too that I think is important to keep in mind, and this is apropos in the MSP in the IT space, but just professional services in general. I think it's really important to know where you are and what your actual goals are, because most of the people that I talk to do not need that many new clients to reach their goals. It's not like we're talking about we need hundreds
Yeah.
of new clients a year, right? It's gosh, if we could get 10 new clients this year or 20 new clients this year, that'll help us reach our goals. So, it's with marketing, it's not so much having a huge budget and being involved in all the channels, because gosh, it can be overwhelming, right? Information overload with marketing. There's all these
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
channels now. Most businesses really need to choose a few and go deep. And
Yeah.
that's what's going to help them be successful. So I think it's really important for everybody just to kind of keep that in mind. You do have to have some kind of budget, but as long as you have some kind of budget and you spend it wisely, it'll help you get where you want to go. And uh,
Yeah,
my guess,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Those big budgets, I mean, they can spend a lot of money going in the wrong direction. And I think that, especially with the internet and social media, there's a lot of ways that you can connect with people and sort of get your message across without really
yeah.
spending any money. So,
Yeah. Well, and they have a larger budget. If they're headed in the wrong direction, they're just flushing more money down the toilet.
yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, um, education first approach. You're super big on that. Love to educate with your sales and marketing. Um, can you share some of the things that you're doing in that vein that are working well for you guys?
Yeah. We do a lot of So in terms of the cybersecurity side, we have a whole formal cybersecurity training where we do micro training and annual exams, and that's a lot of that's driven by insurance requirements these days. So we have that going on. And then in terms of, engaging with our clients, we do regular email blasts with something new. We do webinars on a I'm going to say monthly, but it's not exactly monthly. And we also have in-person lunch and learn. So it's great. Pandemic is long behind us, but we're actually doing one
Yeah.
next week where we just get people together and we say, hey, there's going to be networking, tech talk, and great food. And that's always a fun time because we can be relaxed. It's just learn something new about technology, learn about the technology you have, the technology you need to know about. That's kind of one of the lines that we use. And then it's just genuinely fun to see people in person. And then some of our clients will get to meet other clients, and which is always
Yeah.
fun too. So and I say, Karu, E for engineering, education, and I think at the core, as I started doing this, I want people to enjoy technology, and that's kind of tough because sometimes people get pretty annoyed at their IT department. We're telling, oh, you can't have these privileges, where
Uh-huh.
multi-factor authentication and stuff, But when people understand the security reasons behind that, and how much safer you are when you do that. And if you could just explain it without a lot of complicated language, people will okay, yeah, I get it. I want to protect my coworkers, I want to protect my company, I want to protect our clients, and then they get it. And we don't have to get into like really crazy exhaustive explanations of all the technology behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part is so I just love technology, could talk about it all the time, and I would like people to enjoy it. And some of our clients want to have a little more knowledge. Some, hey, like I don't care how it works, but I need it to work. And people have different flavors, so we try to get something for everyone.
Yeah. Do you, with your lunch and learns, how many people do you typically have at those?
We're planning on the one we're doing next week, which is going to be actually on uh, internet phone technology. We're going to have about 60 people.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty
Yeah.
good group. Uh, and is that clients and prospects, or what's that look like?
Yeah, clients and prospects. So we have folks, usually we'll talk about some topic that people are engaged with us. So either they're already, so get more from the technology you already have, or
Yeah.
learn about the technology you need to know about. And then we try to bring in prospective clients as well. They get to meet the team in kind of a low pressure way, maybe just see how we think, how we work, hopefully get a flavor of what we're like. And um, that's worked out well for us.
Yeah. Uh, gosh, I wish I could remember who it was that I interviewed. This was a while back. Um, she was talking about how bringing current clients and potential clients together, that works really, really well because one, like you said, it's very low pressure, but your current clients talk to the prospective clients, right? About
Yeah,
what it's like to work with you. And so they're doing some selling for you as part of this process. So
yeah,
I think it's great that you're combining the two. Some people don't combine them, and I think it's a great opportunity just to bring everybody together like that. So
yeah. And generally, the people who are going to come are they're going to be the enthusiastic clients as well. So I don't think folks
yeah,
should be afraid of that. Like get people together,
no.
and one of our core values is being friendly and helpful. So hopefully they actually get to see that. I mean, who's going to say, "Oh, we're unfriendly and unhelpful"? But hopefully they get to see what we're really like, and they can meet some of the technicians on the team as well too. And there's really no pressure. Uh, they can come enjoy lunch, maybe network a little bit, and maybe we wind up doing business with them 6 months down the road or
Yeah.
at some future time.
You're just continuing to you plant the seed and you continue to water it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, long term. Because that's this is no different in IT than it is anywhere else, but we never know when when the need or the problem is going to be triggered, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I got to, because look, there's plenty of people that have problems that they don't choose to solve at that point.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
happens and they're like, I really need to fix this problem. And so you're staying in front of them just consistently over time so that when they are triggered, they're thinking of Akaru.
Yeah, and we hope, they'll consider us
Yeah.
when the need arises, and it's kind of, I'm not gonna change doctors every 90 days because I
No,
get a
no,
cold call from somebody really compelling. We wanna
no.
develop relationships with our clients. There's a high degree of trust. It's not something people are just random like, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna." Yeah, building that trust over time, and then, maybe, you know, somebody may leave the area, or sometimes folks have an internal IT person and they decide, hey, you know what, for the same price or actually a lot less money, they could get a whole team of people and it makes sense for them. So, but it's and we do a lot of co-managed IT, so we work with in-house IT. So there's all different kind of flavors of doing that, but there has to be a match of when the need arises and we just want like, hey, of the folks you may consider, hey, consider Ikaru.
Yeah, consider us.
Yeah.
And you've been, because of your education first approach, you've just been building credibility over time, right? And so
Oh
it's,
yeah. Yeah, we've been doing a newsletter for the whole time, 20 years, and it's kind of funny. One of my clients, so long before people were, cybersecurity was way bigger in the news. We were writing about Patch Tuesday and keeping your tech up to date. And I've had one client tell me, this goes back so many years, like, Anne, it's so like you're talking about security patches. It's so boring. It's like, oh well, see, this is what we were talking about.
yeah.
Um,
Is your newsletter print or is it email?
it's email.
Okay.
And we have, upon occasion, done print, and that's another thing we do. So, by following, the anti-spam rules, if we send out bulk mail, it's done through a platform, and it has the disclaimers and the opt-outs and all that. But, and then you can get, if folks don't open it, then you don't send next time to the unengaged. So we actually go old school, and we don't, well, in theory, every quarter we send out a print letter because I find that that's something that everybody reads. And we'll just like kind of highlight some things that are new, or, in January, we'll talk about maybe some goals for the year or what we saw in trends from last year. Uh, so the print is often overlooked because it's so low tech, but I think that's what um, eh, that has a higher reach rate
Yeah. Does
to get
your,
to folks.
does the print, in that month, does the print go out in place of the email?
No, we have the emails go out on a regular basis.
Okay.
And then, so we typically do one that's, back to school, back to business. I think we did
Got
one,
it.
yeah, beginning of September, we had one, and we'll kind of talk about end of year budget planning, stuff like that. And, and then in January, we always have like kicking off the new year, talking about trends, things that we think are going to be important.
Yeah.
And try to, make it's advisory as well, like things that we think people ought to be thinking about for, 2024.
Yeah. I love the fact that you brought that up because print is so overlooked at this
Yeah.
point. So many people just default to digital and online. Um, but I don't know about you, but my mailbox is not nearly as full as it was 15 years ago. So it's, I mean, it's definitely, if you do it consistently, it is a great way to stay top of mind. I've had people even say to me, like, hey, I actually had a new client come in who actually had kept one of, whether it's a direct mail piece or a print newsletter, but they had just kept it
Yeah.
and they still had that. Like that was their reminder that, hey, I might want to follow up on this at some point. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I had a meeting like that many years ago. I met with a medical practice. We went into the meeting, and the practice manager opened up a folder, and it had just one sheet of paper in there from us. So it's like,
yeah,
oh wow, that's cool. You held on to that. And again, when the timing makes sense for them to talk. And then, for the letters, those I write them. I put a lot of thought into the letters. I try to make them. They're always a front and a back. So just trying to keep them relatively short. And I think that people appreciate it's not a marketing pitch, it's not or like a sales pitch. It's not it really is more of a analytical approach to like perspective about technology, and I think people appreciate that. And I once got a client, one of our clients was a business consultant, and he showed the letter to one of his clients, like saying, "Oh, you should be doing this," and then they hired us for their IT. So yeah, yeah, you never know how these connections are going to get made.
Yes. Well, and we also need to think about, like in your space, the lifetime value of a client is very high. So,
Hmm.
you know, even if you pick up a handful of clients from this approach over a period of time, it still makes that particular effort well worth it.
Yeah,
So it's important to get a lot of people overlook that, right? It's like they look at the initial sale and they're not really looking at the lifetime value of the client, which is really important.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh, please go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, that consistency over time. So, it's never really been my mission to be like some rocket ship empire builder.
Yeah,
It's let's build some great relationships, deliver great value, and be consistent about reaching out. And we've got a really good team. In IT, there's always some crazy stuff going on, and the last minute emergencies and stuff like that. But it's a team of people that really wants to help other people, which is great.
what do you think? What do you think's been the biggest driver of your growth?
Um, uh, Probably consistency and not trying to do too much. So as I mentioned, I started a consulting business when my kids were young, because when I worked for Intel, the expectation was that you don't leave the office if you have any level of responsibility and there's something going on, you're expected to stay. It's probably changed over time. I thought that wasn't going to work
Huh,
for me, and and now I kids are grown and I can put more of an accelerator on. But I feel like by not taking on more than we can do, we were able to always deliver on our service along the
yeah,
way. Like there was never some like we did some big giant initiative and it all collapsed. So I would say consistency.
I love that. I have you ever read the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson?
That sounds familiar. I'm not
It's
sure.
an older one.
Yeah,
I bring this up all the time because I just love the book, but it's all about consistency, right? And making the right choices, no matter how small they are, each and every day. Because when we make those right choices each and every day, take those little actions that seem insignificant, but we do it every day, they compound, right?
yeah,
And that leads to exponential growth. Now, the reverse is true as well. If you make poor choices over and over and over again, it compounds
yeah.
and goes down.
And I think there's another book that kind of it talks about the compounding versus the steadily getting weaker. And it's sort of tough because sometimes you're working on things and you never get that big not never you don't get that big victory every day, but
Right,
it's
right.
that just constant progress in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's where a lot of us give up, right? Because they're like, I'm taking these little actions every day, but I feel like I'm not having an impact. You are,
Yeah,
you just haven't seen it yet, right?
yeah. And it's tough. I know, like earlier on, like trying to build up like sort of a critical mass in the client base. I kind of describe it as like a kid on a swing where like you're kicking your legs but you're not moving.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get like one little boost, something good happens, and then suddenly you've got some momentum and things are happening. So it's y- y- yeah, try to stick with it, but also read the signals.
Yeah.
What's working, what's not working, and to make sure you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What are your aspirations for Akaru?
Well, what I would love to be able to do is we sort of built out this whole uh, technology stack or what we think are the best practices for small business. And we have folks we work with are sort of in different places of progress with respect to that. So I would love to be able to build that completely out and to say, hey, here's the Ikara way. This is what we recommend, sort of a smart and affordable approach to IT and cybersecurity, and get everybody kind of on that consistent program. And then we're doing a lot of work to improve our processes so things don't slip through the cracks. No, if there's a last minute thing that happens that could have been handled earlier, it puts a lot of stress on the team. So I plan on doing a lot of work within operations and processes in the business. And I kind of view it like a Rubik's cube, still trying to
Yes.
get it all working.
Yeah. So if I understand you correctly, this tech stack best practices, some of your clients are on it, not all of them are on that entire stack. Is that right?
Yeah, so they're I would say they're compliant to varying degrees.
Got it.
And just trying to uplift everybody, and it can come across as like I've spoken to people who've had cyber events or experienced ransomware, and it's the most awful. It's very emotional. It's one of the most awful experiences of their lives. And um, those small businesses don't make the national news, but a
No.
business could be completely wiped away. And we will approach it as, okay, here's the things that we recommend. It's not you got to spend it's $3 for this license, $2 for this, like six. It's not just buy this, buy that, but it's putting together a comprehensive program that's going to be smart and affordable and greatly reduce your chances of cyber risk. Also, keep your systems, up and running and healthy so you can actually leverage technology to be
Yeah.
successful and not just get mad at it every day. So,
Are all your new clients coming on that standardized stack?
yeah, we recommend it. So there's kind of different philosophies in the industry. There's some folks, and some of the bigger players will just say, "This is it. You do it exactly the way we say, or we don't work with you."
Right.
And my perspective on that is it's a little it's too extreme. Some people would say I'm very wrong for saying that, but I kind of view it as like a doctor just refusing you as a patient because you smoke. They're going to try to get
Right.
you to not smoke, but they're not going to not treat, they're
Yeah.
not going to not treat you or try to help you. And and that's where the education comes. And we want to try to explain this is what excellent looks like, and let's come up with a roadmap, and kind of and be respectful of people too, that people have
Yeah.
to deal with budgets. You don't know what else is going on, um, maybe within their family, within their business. There's other things going on, so we steer people in what we think is the right direction. And we pretty much have a minimum for your security patching and antivirus and all, and kind of the real fundamentals. And as we move along, we're trying to do that more through persuasion and education and showing people what excellent looks like versus saying, um, here's your ultimatum.
Yeah. Got it. One last thing I want to ask
Yeah.
you before we wrap it up. So, this has been a great conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time. Knowing what you know now, is there anything you would do differently?
Um, that's a tough question. Uh, yeah, it's a real tough question because I really feel like you can learn from anything that goes on. So maybe mistakes along the way. Uh, I would think that maybe I'd put the accelerator on a little bit sooner, that I could have had more confidence in doing that. I've been very conservative. I think it's been a strength to be conservative about what we're doing and how we grow. And I think it's also maybe a little bit acting out of fear. So maybe that's something I would do differently. But I also feel like I've learned from everything along the way,
Yeah.
and really feel grateful I work with a great team and work with some really, really amazing clients.
I love it. And where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, so check out our website, www.ikaru.com. That's EKARU. And I'm also pretty active on LinkedIn, and I love connecting with people there. So that's just Ann Westerheim on LinkedIn.
Cool. And we will make sure both of those links are in the show notes. Please connect with Dan. I have had the pleasure of chatting with you now twice, so thank you for that. Those of you that are watching, listening, appreciate you. Anne shared her journey. We talked a lot about what's helped her along the way. If you are looking to accelerate growth and you want to know which of the 9 revenue roadblocks are slowing down that growth, you can do that over at revenueroadblockscorecard.com. You can also always connect with us over at rialtomarketing.com. Happy to chat with you. You can book a free discovery call there, and hope give you some ideas of where you should be focusing based on where you are now and where you want to get to. So thank you again. Till next time. Take care.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.